welcome to Take Time. I'm your host, Patrick Marlad, and today we are continuing our conversation on the Seiko SKX. Now, if you haven't watched our part 1 video yet, I'll encourage you to do so first, in that we discuss the SKX's shortcomings and, of course, alternatives to this watch. Now, if that didn't sway you from wanting to make the purchase, then this video is for you. So, in our part 1 video, I played devil's advocate with everyone's favorite Seiko, the SKX. Now, of course, I mean that humorously, but there are so many of you out there that absolutely adore this watch, and I think I've deduced why. As a matter of fact, 3 major reasons why the SKX is a favorite amongst new watch collectors and veterans alike. Cost and accessibility. It was repeated throughout our part 1 video, and I'm here to report the same, that yes, the Seiko SKX is Seiko's most affordable ISO certified diver. Now, that might not mean a lot to many, but it will mean a lot to some. And that can't be argued with, and even having been discontinued, the accessibility is still there. With every corner you turn, navigating the various digital marketplaces of the web, there's an SKX. Why? It is guaranteed to be the most desirable diver's watch in Seiko's range, at just around $200 for these watches on a bracelet or rubber strap, and even in some instances, J versions for right around that price range. And if you're curious, don't be too concerned about the K or J models, just buy one so that you can experience it. But for that little amount of money, it is a great entry-level watch. And for how affordable these are brand new with all of the features and functions the 7S movement offers with this great case, I can see why these are so desirable. That is, until they make the next range of entry-level models utilizing this same case, which Seiko definitely will. I can already see them equipping these newer versions of the watch with 4R movements and a jangly Jubilee. And why wouldn't they? Seiko undoubtedly knows that this is a favorite amongst their collectors. So accessibility for the years to come is pretty much guaranteed. One commenter summed it up best in our part 1 video by using a car analogy in relation to the SKX here, but he basically stated that it's the desirability of ownership that puts the SKX on the map, not necessarily its feature set. Though there are technically better watches, it's wanting to become a part of the SKX culture, and there is a lot of culture centered around this watch, which leads me to my next point. Modding your heart out. For many, the SKX is a canvas with which they can let their creative expression show. There are many modifications that can be done to the SKX to get it looking like just about any other diver that was ever created. The cost of admission isn't that high either, depending on where you get your parts. The mod components along with the watch will fall just shy of $400 in most cases. For me, personally, I wanted to celebrate the SKX009 by getting modding parts that shared the original's aesthetic, but gave it a more premium feel. With a sapphire crystal cut to the same specifications as the original Hardlex and a ceramic bezel insert with the same font and styling as the previous aluminum Pepsi bezel insert, a stainless steel chaptering, and seconds hand that harkens back to the original 6309-7290, I've made what I feel is the perfect version of this SKX, and you can too. Whether you want to modify your own SKX similarly to mine or just learn how to get started, I ran a 2-part series on how to do so from start to finish on the tools necessary and how to get your own modification off the ground here on the channel. Of course, I'll leave a link to those videos down in the description and comment section for you to follow. The bottom line here is that the SKX is the perfect modder's watch, whether you want to express yourself creatively or get this looking like one of your favorite divers. Be it a Doxa, Omega, Rolex, there is a mod part for everyone. But why is this the perfect base for modders? Well, this leads me to my last point. Scale and design. A large part of the Seiko SKX's popularity is its scale, though there have been many new additions by Seiko that feature a very similar wear on the wrist. There's nothing that wears quite like this. Its 42.5mm diameter is illusory. It wears more like a 40mm and gravitates off the wrist with an overall design that lends to being one of Seiko's most comfortable to date. The contours on the underside of the case allow the watch to follow the motion of your wrist without digging into it. It's a design that was copied from Seiko's earlier second-generation divers that has been perfected here. Beyond the feel on the wrist, the SKX's looks are both traditional and practical, with those pill-shaped hour markers over at the 6 and 9 clearly distinguishing themselves from the rest of the dial's circular hour markers, and the white day date wheel complication at the 3 o'clock, creating a lovely symmetry to the face of our SKX. So in summary, the SKX is not only just a real looker, it's a fantastic wearing watch. It's also a great platform for modders and the perfect price for an entry-level diver for new enthusiast collectors or veterans alike who want to have a watch they feel more comfortable wearing to the gym or mowing the lawn or what have you. The truth of the matter is, the Seiko SKX is a great starter watch for folks looking to get into mechanical watches. And if this is the gateway drug for folks to get into watch collecting, this is a good route to go. Because if you get bored with it, you can mod it out like I did, and know that you didn't break the bank in picking one up. So is the Seiko SKX the best diver's watch ever made? Well, who am I to say? Truth is, a lot of you watching this have likely made up your mind on that. All I can say is that through all the Seikos I've bought and owned, kept and sold, I still have one. Now that must say something about this watch.